guys, I'm Kim Pichatti, and this is Dr. Claus, or Santa Claus as I should say. Welcome to Healthy Dog Eats. And this week we are making gingerbread men. Doesn't he look adorable? Yeah, hopefully he'll leave his head on for a little bit. So we figured we would start talking Christmas cookies as we have been, but a lot of times dog cookies aren't as good as the people cookies. So even though we can eat these, they aren't really probably going to be as good as your own gingerbread men that have all the butter and sugar in it. But you know what? I bet you these are a lot healthier. So we're going to get started and going, and we're going to then talk about giving them as gifts and wrapping some stuff up and talking about some other different things as far as things that we have to think about at the holidays that maybe sometimes we don't. And often it's a little bit too late. And you end up finding yourself at that emergency vet on Christmas Day, which is something that we definitely all want to avoid. And we're also going to talk about the benefits of wonderful ginger to the dogs. Hence, that's why we're making gingerbread men. So let's go ahead and get started with our recipe because we can always talk while it cooks. We are going to put in some canola oil, which canola oil is actually great for the dog's immune system and also great for their circulation. Helps with joint issues as well. Like, you know, if you've got an older dog that's got arthritis. And then we stuck in a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to process this real quick. We want to kind of mix our oil into our maple syrup. And we want to bring it up a little bit. All right, we just got our noisiness off there for a little bit. We'll have to put it back on just real quick, but we won't do that bad with our blending. So basically, as you can see, we've kind of got it all mixed up there together, our oil, our maple syrup, and our molasses. And then in here we have 2 cups of oat flour, which we know is gluten-free, so we have to add our arrowroot, which would be our 1/2 teaspoon of arrowroot. We put in a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of ginger, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. So we're going to whisk all this together. And I've got actually an extra 1/2 cup of our oat flour just in case we need it, because sometimes the longer you whip, the more liquidy you get, and we have to get absorption in because we're not using an all-purpose flour. So we'll whisk that kind of together. Let's get that all in there. So we were talking about some of the things that happen on Christmas that end up in the vet. We want to make sure that we avoid as much as possible, because the last thing we want to do is, like we said, take a trip to the vet at that time when you've got all the people over. We're going to mix this up real quick. I can do the rest by hand, so this way we can talk. You know, naturally, first thing is that you always hear about all the goodies that are left out. You know, somebody, you know, left their plate or left a thing, if you got hors d'oeuvres going on or something like that. You know, and the dog got it. So that's one big thing. But, you know, another thing we have to watch is if you've got a lot of people coming in and out of your house, that somebody doesn't accidentally leave the front door open. Another thing that we want to worry about or kind of make sure is, you know, if you've got family members bringing over their pets or their dogs, you know, don't force your dogs to get along, because what's going to happen is they're going to feel your stress, they're going to feel the other dog's stress, and then you don't want something to happen as everybody's sitting down, you know, at the dinner table. Or even, you know, you've got the grandkids over and they're taking and they want to play. We won't need this extra flour and that, but they want to play with the dogs and they're throwing the ball, and then guess what? Your dog the next day is like, oh my gosh, I can't move. So there's all different things that you kind of have to think of. And once again, really think of your dogs at the holidays of, you know, what they're going through and what they're thinking. You know, just make it easier for them, because ultimately if it's easier for them, it's easier for you. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to do our next step in this, which is actually going to be chilling our dough. So what you're going to do, and the best way to chill it is, you know, just right in your refrigerator. You're going to put it in for either about an hour, or I mean, as long as up overnight if you want to. You can mix this up the day before. And I'm going to show you how we're just simply going to, I use parchment paper, you can use plastic wrap, whatever it is that you like. So you can see our dough is rather loose. It's rather sticky and rather loose. So this is why we actually have to chill the dough. So we're just going to pop it in here. And then we're going to kind of utilize this because when we come back, as you'll see, because I already made a batch and re-chilled it ahead of time, we are going to be able to just like roll it right out on our parchment paper, which saves by adding extra flour. So all we're going to do is kind of then just take it, kind of flatten it up, fold it over, and then we're going to put this right in the refrigerator for, like I said, at least about an hour, 2 hours, and even as long as overnight if you need to be. So you can see I already made a batch, which is right here. It's nice and cold, and you can see the difference of how much it thickened up on us there. So what we're going to do now is we're actually just going to add another piece of parchment paper on top. And this way we don't have to add the flour. And we're going to roll out our gingerbread then. And as we are talking as far as the ginger is got so many great factors for us and for the dogs. One thing, I mean, a lot of you know, people get upset stomach. You always see they have a glass of ginger ale. Well, that's not really true. Sometimes it's a little mental more so than ever. I think in the olden days, they really had more ginger in it. And that's kind of like where our grandmothers and grandfathers got that. You know, you always hear your grandma say, oh, just go have some ginger ale. Your belly will feel better. But ginger really does have some wonderful properties in, as far as for soothing an upset stomach for a dog. And, you know, to be able to do that, it also, what I learned was heartworm. It actually, if a dog is infested with heartworm, it actually will help with the heartworm. But one thing that knowing how heartworm works within dogs, a lot of times heartworm is the same treatment as if they have it, the heartworm pills. So could we possibly give our dogs ginger to help prevent the heartworm, or would that be our holistic way of preventing if you don't give your dogs heartworm pills? Maybe adding some ginger to their diet. So with our gingerbread men here, like I said, we're just going to kind of roll out a rectangle. We're going to leave it a little thicker than thinner because with using the oat flour, like I said, and not having sugar or butter, we want to keep them so they're a little bit more texture if you do want to eat them. Like I said, they're fine for you to eat, but the dogs absolutely love them. And then when we ice them up, we're going to do like a little bit of a yogurt icing on them. So as you see, very easy. I didn't have to take out anything. So we're just going to kind of go ahead and we're going to make some little guys. And we're going to make some big guys. We'll just get these right in here like this. And I'll show you a super easy way to be able to get out. A lot of times people get frustrated when they do cut out cookies because they'll use the cutout and then they'll go to take it out and then that loses its shape. So I'm going to show you kind of what I always do that is really easy and adds, so we're able to keep the shape on it. And we can also re-roll these to get, you know, cut out the extra pieces so we're not wasting our dough. But as you can see, I did it a little bit thicker. So then this way they're going to bake up a little bit nicer, not as crispy. So we'll get that on. And I'm going to get these just going on our pan. But our easy way of doing this is we're going to take away all our cut off parts. And then you're just going to take a knife underneath it. You're going to slide it underneath. You can pick it up. And you can always hold your shape of your cookie. You don't have to worry about it. Well, we are going to go ahead and do all these up and get these baking. And we'll be back. And we're going to go ahead and ice them once they come out of the oven. Hey guys, welcome back. Our cookies are out of the oven, so now it's time to ice them. So what I wanted to tell you was about the icing that we're going to use on top and talk a little bit about some other things that your dog really doesn't need, and that is the food colorings. So we chose to do just the white, but there's a way that you can actually get some natural food colorings for the dogs. You know, we don't need red dye, yellow, whatever B42 and blue 56 and all that kind of stuff is. Our kids don't need it and we don't need it, and mostly too, our dogs don't need it. So a lot of times what they'll do for the cookies, you'll see for the dog cookies, is they make what they call a royal icing, like that we do for people. But it really, I mean, the whole base of it is powdered sugar, so we really don't need that. So what we're going to use today is we're going to use Greek yogurt. So we took some Greek yogurt and we added in about maybe a half a tablespoon to a tablespoon of maple syrup. So we had 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt with the maple syrup. So we're going to actually put that in our bowl right now. And what we need to do in order to be able to use this as icing is we need to thicken it up a little bit. And the way to do that is actually by tapioca flour, which is safe for the dogs to have. So really what we need to do is we have to add really about equal amounts. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons to start. And then we're going to mix this up and we're going to see how this goes. Now, one thing nice about this is you can let this air dry and it does dry up hard. So I was able to package up the cookies. The only thing I did notice about it is they don't stick as well as regular icing, so we did lose a couple eyes and a couple little buttons here and there and stuff like that. But that's all right, because once again, we're making these up for the dogs. We're making them up to look pretty. You know, whether it be you're having a party or you're having guests over, or like I said, or you want to package them up like we did for gifts. So I want this to be a little bit thicker than it is. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of our tapioca flour. Maybe it's like 3/4 of a tablespoon here. Get it a little bit thicker, and we're just going to use our plain icing bag, just as if you would any other icing. Now, if you wanted to color this, strawberries are red, but you're really probably going to get pink. You can do spinach, you can do blueberries. Remember how we made and we flavored our yogurt? That's really what you're going to do to get the color. Cranberries, you can do that. You know, you want to make snowflakes with this. You can use the white icing and then put on the white coconut. You can do all the different kinds of things. You can make like the different cutouts with the gingerbread. Usually using the oat flour and using the maple syrup, whatever you're going to use is usually going to kind of turn the brown color. So you're not going to get your good old sugar cookie out if you're really trying to be healthy. Your usual shortbread cookies, I mean, they're straight butter, they're straight sugar, they're straight flour. And you're not going to get around that if you're trying to do, you know, more of the healthy stuff for the dogs. So we're just going to kind of put this right in here. And we'll get this all up in. And I always fold my bags over and then put them up in a glass or something like that so they stand up so it's easy. So I am not, you know, trying to finagle having one hand doing this and the other hand doing that. What you doing, babe? Are you getting ready for your cookies? And they make like those little squeeze things that you can do this with, or the regular bags. You know, I usually just like to use the plastic throwaway ones, so this way it's just easy. I can boom, 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 throw it away. You're going to squeeze it all down. I always fold it down so it doesn't kind of get all over me. And now it's time to decorate. So we're just going to draw our little faces, our eyes. And you can see it comes out and holds its shape, just like as if you had regular icing. Put our little zigzags and our dots. And now, like, isn't that adorable? And like I said, when they dry up, they're great to give to gifts for the dogs, and they're good cookies. And they're healthy for the dogs. We know what's in them. And that's the biggest thing that what we're trying to do is we're knowing what are going into our dog cookies and our dog food, not leaving it up to the rest of the world to decide what it is our dogs should eat. And these are wonderful gifts, wonderful for if you want the kids to be healthy. The kids think it's cool because guess what? If you call these dog cookies, hey, they're eating dog cookies. So they're going to go to school and tell the teachers that they're eating dog cookies. That's something I actually wouldn't put past my little granddaughter. So we are going to decorate these up. We'll keep on doing it, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. Well, we've got everything all decorated up. You can see how they turned out. And then we just made up a couple different gift packages. You know, you could put in some hot cocoa and wrap them up big. And here, maybe if you wanted to tie a cookie cutter to it and actually give them the recipe to somebody. Or even just little packets like this if you wanted to have a little, just to give out to the different dogs in your family, or just have something. But remember, don't keep them under the tree because you know who's going to find them. And that's for sure. Right, Cosmos? So we thank you for watching. You can get the recipe at empoweredpups.com. And next week, what we are going to talk about is some gift giving. We're going to have some ideas for some toys, and we're going to make Italian pizzelles, which are one of my favorites. So we're going to make those dog friendly and dog safe. And we're going to kind of see what kind of products we can come up with and give you some ideas, last minute gift ideas if you're looking for something for some family members or just for your furry friends. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week. you.